based on recurring revenue, that every time, if you sell $1 million in 1 year, like if you're a tourism attraction, you sell $1 million 1 year, the next year you're starting from scratch. You might have a few forward bookings for January, but you're going to sell $1 million for the next year. A software as a service, you sell $1 million, you go into January, you've got $1 million for the coming year. You sell $2 million that year, you then got $3 million for the next year. You sell $3 million, you go into the next year, you got $6 million coming in. The reason we have Rooibos with Simon Small is that this is my favourite drink, and so it's just a chance to have a cup of tea and a chat. Now, we've got this morning, I think someone in the Zoom waiting room, looks like a familiar name. I'm not sure if it's the one that the person that I'm thinking it might be. So we'll just welcome them in. Come on in. Welcome, Henry. How are you?
Great.
So what questions can I answer for you this morning?
So my first one is, will robots and machinery cost us a lot of jobs in the next, 15 years?
Machinery is interesting because machineries started back in 100 years ago. And, John Jay, my grandfather, worked on the farm, and it was hardly any mechanized stuff going on. So there was a lot of backbreaking work in the 1900s through the 1930s and 40s. And so the idea was you had to use horses and you had to use farm implements, but it was people power that was really driving things. So if you think of a tractor today and how complicated they are and how advanced all of they can multitask with all these different things. So, the tractor's probably taking so many jobs from the farm workers of 100 years ago. So
and yet they still have jobs.
They still have jobs. So life sort of
it just makes it a bit easier.
Somehow life manages to create as it displaces, and it doesn't displace as quickly as what we think. So in the next 15 years, yes, there'll be things like artificial intelligence driving a lot of things, but we have a mountain of work to do to get there. So
what's your big problem?
There'll be new problems.
Sort of like we might lose some jobs that we currently have, but then we're also going to get new jobs.
Yeah.
Like there's going to need to be people servicing robots and.
Yeah, that's right. But look at robots right now. Probably the most sophisticated robot is Spot, which is the Boston Dynamics robot that's being developed for 10 or 15 years, and we've got one Spot mechanical dog robot in the country, which is just doing a tour of the biggest corporations and the biggest organizations in the country. What's that? 15 companies might be able to afford the one leading robot in the world. So Spot's got a long way to go before we have Spot at home,
cleaning
and sorting stuff out and doing the gardening. When I was about your age, when I was 11, 1981, I read a story about the future of the year 2000, and it just had, or maybe it's 2010, but it just had this kind of what you're talking about, what we're just sort of touching on there is this robots serving us all. It was just this.
But it was a bit far off.
It was miles off. And so what happens is we can go, oh yeah, that's like, you can imagine a space war, and you can create a movie, call it Star Wars.
So
But how far off are we actually creating that? So a lot of the power of our imagination is kind of connecting with it's connecting with the power of technology and how quickly it can evolve. But there's a mark that basically society just kind of pushes back on a lot of the technology change that comes through. And it takes a lot longer for it to have an impact than what you might first think at the outset.
So you're, instead of thinking 29 years, you're sort of maybe thinking 100 years.
Yeah, probably. I mean, once it gets past about 10, it's a bit difficult to forecast out where that's, you know, because even past 2 or 3 years, you can't just predict TikTok, right? You don't know that in 2020 TikTok's going to explode, and then what that means is that people are going to start going in this direction. So some things, as you look out, you make predictions 10 years out, it's still very, very sketchy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the question again was, will we lose jobs to robots? What was the question again?
All robots and machinery, meaning like driverless cars, would be machinery in factories.
Yeah.
Cost us a lot of jobs.
Not for a long time.
Okay.
Yeah, you'll be out in the workforce, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. Because actually there's so much human effort to get them all functioning. So there's so much human effort required to get every little piece of the future kind of mechanized society to kind of function together and talk together, and it's a Herculean effort. So
so not a big issue.
Well, it depends what job you're in, but I just generally for the workforce, I think there's plenty of jobs.
Next question: what will be the most useful skill to get a job, when I want to get a job?
Well, I heard a guy talk about this a couple of years ago, and he said the real growth industry is security. So imagine all the systems are all joined up, and then there are these, they call them bad actors, which doesn't mean they can't act. It means they're evil. And so the evil humans are trying to scam people from, out of Bitcoin, out of their life savings, steal their identity, misrepresent them, travel on their passports, so that his idea is that security is the most one of the fastest growing areas that's got a huge amount of job security in it, because humans need to stay ahead of the humans that are trying to
attack
and rob people in the system of just everyday life.
So you're saying that these are like hackers, kind of?
Yeah. Staying ahead of the hackers. So other jobs, I think creativity's got a huge place to play, huge part to play, and being incredibly creative and developing your skills, developing your storytelling skills. Because if you can tell a story, I started the show with a little story about my dad working in the farm, really hard with the horses. Like, if you can just tell a story, it helps you get ahead with people you meet, networking, jobs you might be in, and there's a creative aspect to how you tell stories. So
you're basically saying that a lot more people will be buying iPads and tablets to draw on?
Yeah, I think
for creativity.
yeah, I think the iPad with Procreate and the pencil is kind of like the discovery of charcoal or whatever they had, ochre in the caves. It's the beginning of a paperless society because it's actually better than paper, and you can print it out. So, but just going back to the creativity, I think the creativity with the technology is really the mix. If you just have creativity on its own, and you want to build kind of a career, it doesn't necessarily scale so well. What I mean by that is it doesn't necessarily cross that many boundaries. But when you put it with online shopping and someone can buy your art, or you put it with a class online that you can teach your art, or you put an actor that was going to be in a play for 100 people and is now doing it through Zoom for 2 million, that gives you scale. And the idea really with technology is that if you can clip onto something that gives you scale where you can reach a lot of people, then you've got more chance of more reach. Means you just have, I guess, more currency potentially, meaning like you're a bit more current, so more people can see you. And if you're going to sell something, then you could chip in and say, would you like to buy fresh pack Rooibos tea in the middle of your podcast, which I'm not actually selling, but it's really nice. It's the best. So there are a couple of jobs.
Yeah.
Other things, I mean, I think actually...
Would coding be good? Like, would more people want...
I think coding, if you're into making stuff.
But if you're not into it, you wouldn't do it just...
If you're not, no, I think you really, when you're asking about jobs, it's all about asking about your passion.
Yeah.
So what are you passionate about? What are you inclined towards? What would you love to learn? And, you should just be trying all sorts of things that you like. And then there's this element of knuckling down and sticking to something, like if you're going to just go around all the musical instruments and try them all for a few weeks, at some point you need to decide, am I going to play the musical instrument or am I not? So I think coding's fine to learn and dabble. The thing about coding is a bit like building. My friend Wayno told me this. The materials change constantly. So every few years, you're into a new set of tools to build websites and infrastructure.
And you're always having to buy new things.
Well, it's not so much that. It's more that...
But always having to learn new programs.
It's more that if you go, I'm just going to learn this program and then stick to it for 10 years, you could find yourself kind of being...
held back with old...
Yeah, you need to be able...
with old software.
Yeah, you need to be able to learn and adapt. But with the idea of, what you're passionate about, that's really the sweet spot. Is find something that you're really passionate about, but try and give it that little edge where it's got future growth. Because I was passionate about being an actor when I was growing up, and I had a few doors shut on me, and it wasn't going so well. And then I thought, well, I'll go more into television because that's a bit like theatre but with technology. And then I thought, well, I'll go into we got a nice question coming in. And then I'll go from television into interactive television because that's got more technology in it. And then I went right into software as a service because that had tons of technology. It was all technology, and I'd left the creative world behind over the course of over a decade. So you just follow your nose, follow your passions, but don't lose sight of am I going to end up in 5 years going, I'm kind of at a dead end and I need to make a massive shift? It's easy to make little shifts, and always look at what you've got. Like, you're very confident on camera, so that's an asset. That's something that you've got. It's like owning an asset, like owning a car. Like, you've got that. You can drive that, and if you enjoy it, then it can take you a long way. So try coding, but don't get hooked up in it if you don't like it.
Yeah. Next question. Will less people have money because robots will be doing the work and it could affect the economy? Because less people have money, less people spending money. And then there's less money in circulation.
Just 1 second. I'm just going to respond to somebody who's texting me.
Okay.
Hang on a sec. So just say that one again for me.
Will less people have money because robots and machinery will be doing the work? And will that mean the economy will go down? And just lots of people won't have money?
No, that doesn't necessarily kind of compute. And I can't really give you the ins and outs why, but well, here's one thing. So, William told me the other day that William Stevens that 5 years ago, Facebook, Amazon, Google, and Netflix, and Apple were 5% of the US economy. Today, they're 23%.
Wow.
So all of those companies are massive digital infrastructure. Look at Netflix. It's just entertainment over the internet. There's no satellite dishes. There's no set-top boxes.
Yeah.
My part of my career was helping all of that grow, helping people put more dishes on, more set-top boxes, more viewing cards, higher and higher subscriptions. But that Netflix has just sort of disassembled all of that, and it's
kind of just like massively. Simple.
Yeah. So all of those companies you're talking about with mechanization are going to just continue to get more and more traction, and they're, so what's happening, if you think of that just analogy between Netflix and Sky, Netflix is much cheaper, but more people want it.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know, a couple of 100 million subscribers or more. And so it's what they call that as a business model. So it's a way of modeling the world, and it's a way of modeling their business. Sorry, I'm just going to get this chappy in.
Okay.
Let me do this, and then I'll come back to you on that because it's important.
Sure.
Just tell me what you're thinking of these of what I've talked about so far. What does it make you think?
When I first was going to do this, I thought I was actually not that worried, but I was a little bit concerned. Like, in my lifetime, I'm not going to have any work.
Oh, really?
Well, I don't know. Because I'm only 11. I could live for another 80 years or something, or 90 years. Yeah,
no, you're going to have work. You're going to have tons of work. You're going to shape the whole changing of the guard in the world as we know it.
Mm.
Yeah, so much to be done. Don't worry about that. Okay, so hopefully we've got, is it Kane joining us? Yeah, Kane hopefully will jump in a second. Okay, so what I was saying there, Henry, was that if you think about, there are people buying Netflix that never bought Sky.
Yeah.
Okay, the people that, so what happens is this new breed of companies, they expand the market so much. So there's only a certain type of people that's going to pay $100 a month for, you know,
Sky.
sport and all this stuff and some kind of, you know, average movie selection. And then Netflix just goes in hard at like $16 a month. And,
13.
well, it depends what currency. And then, and they're expanding the market. And if you give someone a Netflix subscription, like we gave it to your grandparents, they're, oh, no, we don't want Netflix. No, it's fine. And then next minute, they're hooked, aren't they? It's like getting people on drugs, because as soon as you're on the Netflix experience,
You can't live without it.
you can't live without it. And then that's being sort of replicated by Amazon and Disney and Apple TV, because they realize, you know, it's almost like Microsoft building Bing, because they realize Google search is it's just eating the world up, and they need to have a search engine. So all these other players like Apple, we've been watching Apple TV because we got it free with an Apple TV box, and they're just trying to get the best Tom Hanks movie, Oprah Winfrey, you know, M. Night Shyamalan.
Just to get them hooked. So then after a
Just to
free
get hooked.
year,
Yeah.
we just keep on paying them.
Yeah, so they're just going to buy. They're going to buy. It's no different to how we sold the set-top boxes and the satellite dishes in the UK in the 2000s. Was just, you got to buy those subscribers. So Apple Plus and Disney did this thing with Beyonce. So of course Beyonce loves it because she's getting paid a fortune, gets to make a visual album only on Disney Plus. So does that help?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Any other? Now we might just leave it there for now because I want to bring Kane in. Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks. You can, if you sign out, and I'll let Kane in.
What do I do? Yeah.
Okay, cool. Any other? Now, okay. Leave it there for now because I want to bring Kane in. Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks. There's Kane.
Yeah. How you going?
If you sign out, and I'll let Kane in. Hello, Kane.
Hello.
G'day. How are you?
Yeah, good.
What can I answer for you today? Can you put your video?
Just a message, obviously, with COVID going on and a whole lot of unemployment, especially in the region that we're in here in Queenstown. What are your thoughts on when you're seeking re-employment, waiting for a position at the level that you left employment in, or just jumping in at ground level and starting your way forward again?
Some building work upstairs, and I find it a little hard to hear. And would you mind putting your video on for me?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, it's a really interesting one, isn't it? I've struggled with this myself, and I think it really comes down to how much gas is in the tank. As in, can you hold out for a period of time? I think there's a big part of this, which is I always think, if I take this position, if I take a position, how am I going to feel when I'm in it day after day, week after week, month after month? And how's that how's that going to occur to me? Am I going to feel really kind of trapped? And that to me is my personal litmus test, that if I can hold out, if I think the position is going to give me more kind of grief than it's really going to be worth, then I would be working on the next thing. What's the situation where what's your sort of career story and things you've gone through?
So, through my career, I've been in tourism and worked my way through to management roles, and obviously COVID hasn't done us many favours down here. So out of work at the moment, and the market at the moment is flooded with people like myself, applying, plenty of people applying for the same role. So, and there's limited roles out there. So I'm just wondering, do I look better to a future employer if I've held out for the role that I want, or will a future employer think better of me if have been still employed in between?
Well, I don't think too much about that appearance. Like if you're going for a position that's advertised, I mean, ideally you could get the ones that aren't advertised, that people are just sort of thinking about. I think there's always the opportunity in the letter and in the interview to tell your story.
Right. Yeah.
And that story is, well, I mean, everybody's got a COVID related story. So that story is, well, this is what I did at this time. And now I'm, super keen to get back into this line of work with you.
Yeah.
So I think in an interview you'd come across very strongly saying those sorts of things. So I wouldn't be too concerned about that future situation.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, this is going to be here for a while. So are you also thinking of moving outside of tourism management?
Yes, totally. Yeah. I've right from the start of this, I've seen it as an opportunity, or thinking that there's going to be opportunities come of it, and one of those for me is a chance to try a different industry.
Yeah. What industries are you thinking about?
Just potentially sort of logistics and operations is my background. I really enjoy people leadership and the development of people. So I'm doing some study. I've taken the opportunity to do some more study to get some qualifications behind me, and I haven't narrowed it right down in terms of where I want or what I want. So.
What sort of study are you doing?
I've managed to work my way into my roles, but without any formal sort of training, apart from training on the job. And so I'm just doing a Bachelor of Applied Management, Business Management.
Right.
And also at the same time, I'm on my third year of a diploma in Te Reo Māori through SIT. So just continuing. Wow. Yeah.
Awesome. And is there an industry that really kind of, like why did you get into tourism for a start?
The main reason was to travel myself and to have fun on the job, and I've done all of that, and then had to leave the Peter Pan lifestyle at some point and work my way into an office role, and
right,
and here I am. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Well, that's interesting. So that was a conscious choice, a little bit like some of the choices I was talking about earlier. You go, okay, I want to stay in tourism, but I want some sort of permanence about my position, and I want some career growth and income growth. Yeah?
Yeah, totally. And from at the moment, I realise that this isn't going to be an overnight fix. The impact that COVID's having, and it might be time for me to look for an industry that has a little bit more security around the impacts that COVID's having on the world.
Yeah. What are you thinking of? What industries? Actually, there's two trains. One is what are you fired up about, and one is what is the sensible kind of it's going to be COVID proof. What are you fired up about first?
What I'm fired up about is probably people development. I really enjoy working with people and teams and getting the best out of them, and helping people grow. What I know I'm good at is problem solving and project work, and so something along project management or something along those lines. I think would be where I'd be looking at going.
Yeah. But is there a particular, because those can fit across most sectors, is there a particular industry that you think is appealing?
Well, I don't have much, or I don't have any trade qualifications in terms of building and stuff, so that sort of rules out the construction side of project management. And I haven't been able to identify what other sort of project management. I've done a couple of projects for HR departments for an organisation that I worked for previously, around some software, more to do with the training and the training tools, developing those for them and facilitating that.
So that's a New Zealand software company?
It was an Australian software company. It was a New Zealand tourism company I was working for, and they're upgrading their performance management system to an online system. So I worked with their HR team to bring that online and make it fit with the systems and the procedures that they had in place.
And did you get on quite well with them?
Yeah, I enjoyed that. Yeah.
And you're always employed by the New Zealand company working with that?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And do you think that's more than just it's more than just a tourism product? It's an HR industry-wide product they've got.
Yes. Yeah. It was a performance review system. Which enabled the employee and the employer to both add feedback and see where they're constantly at throughout the year.
Would you be interested in working with something like that?
Yeah, I quite enjoyed it. Because in management roles I've used tools like that myself to help people grow, but also the facilitating the training and developing people to see someone not know how to use something to using something comfortably at the end of it. It was quite a good journey to be a part of.
Because that could be a good. But just broadly though, would you be happy in a sort of a tech a tech related field that's dealing with large organizations, and you're in the software side of things, and helping kind of either facilitate, implement, sell in, help that company grow? Is that something that would be appealing? Yes,
yeah. Along something like that sounds similar to what I have done. I'm not an IT guru by any stretch of the imagination. Again, most of the stuff I've learned has been on the job training. You learn pretty quickly when you want to do things more efficiently. Yeah.
Do you like in that field, because I kind of know that field quite well, do you
right.
Have you done sales in your past?
Just with my roles in tourism, I was a tour guide, so a large portion of our role was sales. A large portion of the income was based on sales, so I've done a fair bit of sales with that. I haven't done much sort of like cold calling sales. It was more, we had a group of 50 plus customers with us for 20 days at a time, and
would you be willing to give something like that a go, or would you be kind of like not interested? That's not really something I'd be keen on.
Yeah, no, definitely keen to give something like that a go.
Because I think what I always look at when one of my critical periods, I had done well in theatre for about 5 years, done well in television for about 5 years, and I was really, the internet was just coming out. I'd been to San Francisco, I'd been to the Wired office in 1994, and I was just like, San Francisco was kind of like just hippie cafes and internet. That was pretty much, and lots of, pretty rundown town, pretty rundown city. But it made a lasting impression. All I could think about was building websites, which wasn't really, I don't know, I just couldn't quite think of what the internet was actually going to become. But I had some friends that had gone to, I was, 26 or something, and friends had gone, they'd done some degrees at Canada, they'd done a couple of degrees at Canterbury, and then they'd gone to Lincoln, having done some degrees in Canterbury and done computer science. And my friend Chris and Wayno. And I was sort of like, gee, do I have to go now and do 3 years of study? And I read a couple of books. One was called Being Digital by Nicholas Negroponte, and one was called The Road Ahead by Bill Gates. And it just got my head kind of out of the now and into the future. And I suddenly took, I think they were both just saying that everything, this is now 1998, everything's going to be digital. So I was big into television, a degree in directing and producing. And then I just went, well, instead of going back to computer science for 3 years, why don't I just take television and add interactive to it? And there I had interactive television or digital television. Actually, I added digital to it, and then I discovered there was this thing where you could interact with your TV. And then within a few years, I was kind of at the top of that game. But the point is not to throw out what you've got and not to discount what you've got. So what I hear is a massive understanding of how large organizations work, customer-centric organizations, HR, process, logistics, project management, how to get stuff done, how to launch stuff, and innovate, just all of this know-how. And that becomes, that's one piece, and then you just scan the horizon. So, read some books that you think will be, or I could come up with some possibly, and just go deep into some books or some podcasts, and just scan that horizon and take something out there that you go, oh, I can add that to what I've got now. And then I'm I'm new into that field, but I'm bringing all this wealth of stuff with me. And the tourism piece is just like a veneer. It just, you peel it off and everything's there.
Right.
That, yeah. All of that wealth of experience. The last thing you want is to be, the last thing you want to do is compete with a bunch of tourism managers, because it's just a race to the bottom.
Yeah.
Right. And you get, oh, there's another tourism manager, here's another tourism manager, here's another tourism manager. I mean, you can totally rebrand yourself and what you do in a heartbeat, and you'll feel differently about it. How does that sound?
Yeah, no, makes a whole lot of sense. Would you mind flicking me through a message with Nick couple of suggestions on books, and maybe those ones that you mentioned were good for yourself to see further forward.
Yeah, and look, I'll just have a look at this. So, yeah, I think just sort of things like this can do with like once you've kind of got your groove on in terms of like, okay, this is the future that I'm going to start working towards and building, then that starts to change there, that opening statement, and then this becomes a much more powerful kind of future-based statement, right?
Right.
And yeah, and looking and thinking about even the HR people that you're talking to, like they're actually a really good. So there's two things. They're a really good touchstone to just go back and have a cup of tea, have a Zoom cup of tea, and talk to them, and just I'd be saying, well, I really enjoyed doing that project with you guys, and I'm thinking about sort of pursuing some of these other areas, but if you like that sort of work, if they wanted you to do some ad hoc work with them, because there's so much that they don't have to tell you. If they're hiring people off the street to implement their solution at a large business or government organization, there's 3 months of training there.
Right.
You're just like, hey guys, look, anything you need a hand with, anything you want me to shadow someone or give a talk to your team about, kind of a client perspective, or I would just open up the doors there and get them endorsing on LinkedIn, and yeah.
Oh, well,
There's one more thing.
Yeah.
If you go to LinkedIn today, there's a friend of mine put something live. Actually, I'll just go to my page because I commented on it. So this is a guy who's put up what I'm calling a huge sales opportunity, and you can be at the leading edge, revolutionizing how customers engage with organizations via AI chatbots.
Yeah.
And a great transition from any sunset industry you might be in currently. So I wrote this 7 o'clock this morning. Grab it because it's hot. And this guy Tim Warren is building a fantastic company, and it's a little bit different with the cold calls, but relationship selling is what you've done.
Yeah.
Discovering customer needs, solving them. It's kick-ass. I don't know if you'll hire someone from outside of Auckland,
right.
But it's another, I commented on it because I don't see that much coming through like that. And that's technically what that is booking, is cold calling off a list, and the rigorous nature of it is a lot of no's and a lot of dead ends, and I haven't got the right person and I haven't got the right number. But if you can sort of persevere through that, and you end up setting up a demo for someone senior to, or when I say senior, just someone else in the organization who's been there longer, right? To actually give a demonstration online through Zoom and hopefully close a deal for probably a trial that's going to end up, they might be paying $20,000 a year or something to the company, but all those 20,000s, when they're annual, they all add up. So the beauty about being in a software as a service company is that the longer you're there, the more chance there is that it's going to get bigger and bigger, the more chance that you're going to have more and more income, career opportunities. And I think there's a lot of what you've done in a software as a service company, but it's generally pretty flat on the management side.
Right.
So that sort of people management it won't be at the scale that you're talking about, but the economics of it, because it's based on recurring revenue, that every time if you sell $1 million in 1 year, like if you're in a tourism attraction, you sell $1 million 1 year, the next year you're starting from scratch. You might have a few forward bookings for January, but you're going to sell $1 million for the next year. A software as a service, you sell $1 million, you go into January, you've got $1 million for the coming year. You sell $2 million that year, you then got $3 million for the next year. You sell $3 million, you go into the next year, you got $6 million coming in on January the 1st. You don't have to do much except sell more and look after them and keep ahead of the competition. So I would give that a shot with Tim.
Yeah, I'll definitely look at that. Thanks for that. Much
appreciated.
Yeah,
rebrand.
Yeah.
Rebrand, relaunch, get fired up.
Yeah.
Like, do you really think about what's gonna what's gonna light you up in 5 years' time, and that will help you get somewhere in like a year's time that you look back and you go, yeah, man, my life is very, very different. Okay. Anything else?
No. You've been a great help. Thank you.
Cool. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for being brave.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
All right.
Thanks, Simon.
Thanks, Kate. Take care. Bye. Did you want to ask any more, Henry? You were done? Okay. All right. Thanks, everyone, for listening in. That was Rooibos with Simon Small. Proudly not sponsored by Fresh Pack Rooibos, the only proper Rooibos that you could drink. It's got some caffeine, but very little, and lots of antioxidants. And even after an hour and a bit, it's still delicious. Adios. Ciao. See you tomorrow.